Hey everyone, it's Sam Smith, realtor with JP and Associates Realtors, and today is July 16th, 2020. I really don't know how it got to be July, but here we are, and we're in the middle of the summer. It's hot as Texas summer is normally, and we're all kind of stuck around the house. Some people are coming and going, but I think for the most part, not a lot of people are traveling. So I wanted to bring on somebody who is a local. She's a great community supporter. I have never met her in person. We've just met virtually 5 minutes ago. And this is Jill Franks. She started the Georgetown Women's Networking Group, Georgetown Ladies Get Together. And, I've been following the group for quite some time, but I never, even before pre-COVID, I didn't go to any in-person meetings, but I see this as a great community, and I see Jill has a great heart for her community and for other business people in our area. So Jill not only does that, but she is a travel agent. So that's why I cannot imagine what it must be like to be a travel agent right now. So I had to get her on here so we could ask her about it. But first, I want her to tell all of us about her business. Because you told me that you're a travel agent with Cruise Planners, and that's part of American Express. Is that right?
Yes, Cruise Planners is part of the American Express family. So if people had American Express cards with points, they can redeem them with us. Also, they have platinum, gold. Those members get extra incentives for certain cruise lines, resorts, and all of that. Mm-hmm. And one thing I just want to point out, it does say Cruise Planners, but that doesn't mean I just book cruises. It's a little confusing, but they've been around for 26 years now, so we can't change the name at this point.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, because you are a travel agent, and cruises maybe are they kind of your specialty, or that's just the name of the business?
It's just the name. So it's a franchise that I own with Cruise Planners. And they started out primarily as just being cruise agents, I guess I can say. But the world has changed, and obviously this year a lot of people are looking to shy away from cruising because they don't want to be in that. And being able to, I'll just say this. Been a travel agent with Cruise Planners. It'll be 7 years officially on August 1st that I've had my franchise. But I'm from Minnesota originally, and I was a travel agent with the #1 travel agency in the state when they were open. Right around 9/11 they closed a few years after that because everybody went to the internet and they were booking on their own. So I've been in the business for about 15 years in total.
Wow. All right. So what got you into traveling or being a travel agent? I can imagine. I could probably tell you what your story is.
It's actually, you'd be surprised.
Okay, good.
I told my parents when I was, I believe, in junior high that I wanted to be a travel agent.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know why. I think it was because I had wanted to see the world. And I thought, well, if I'm a travel agent, I can go for free and help other people to go. So it would, and my dream was one day I'll own my own travel agency. So if you were able to talk to my mom and dad, they would tell you, yes, I had wanted to do that for a very long time.
Isn't that great? You're not the first person that I have heard recently say that when they were probably late elementary school into middle school, they said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then they went on to various careers. And then by the time they got like in their mid 30s to, into 40, they started doing that. So it's really, I don't know how old you were when you started. Not that it matters, but
I was quite young then when I worked at Hobbits, but not that young anymore.
So I think it's great that, somehow we have this insight into ourselves, then we end up that we don't know. And a lot of people take a very circuitous route to find their true calling or their true love, their career. So you always thought about doing that. Did you travel a lot? Did your parents take you traveling a lot?
Well, I think that was the other reason. We didn't travel a whole lot. Primarily, we went to see family in South Dakota and North Carolina.
Okay.
That was our
They're nice.
travel.
Nice.
Yeah, and those are driving vacations. And if you can go think 70s and 80s in a station wagon,
Yeah.
driving from Minnesota to North Carolina, that was about the extent of our vacationing. So that was probably another reason why, because I wanted to see more than just those places.
Okay. So then, like, once you got out of high school and you sort of, did you kind of go on your own and then did you travel then, or did it,
So I started traveling mostly to see my sister because she lived in Las Vegas at the time. So yeah, I visited her several times, and I did go with my parents when I was in high school. We went on a long road trip and covered like the Smithsonian and went through Virginia and all of that. But I hadn't taken any major trip until I was a travel agent, actually. And back when I wanted to be a travel agent, you actually had to go to school for it, which is crazy to think because you don't have to anymore. But I went to school. It was about 6 months. Every Saturday, I drove to Minneapolis from Rochester and was there all day long writing hand airline tickets out.
Yeah, I can remember that.
Yeah. Thankfully, we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But then I started, I went on what they call familiarization trip. So they send agents for reduced prices, not for free, like I assumed, to Hawaii. I took my mom with. We were in Hawaii 6 days, and I've been to Vegas so many times, Disney World. I went to Ireland last year, was with my niece. So I've traveled a lot since then, but it wasn't as much as I would have liked to when I was younger.
Yeah.
We didn't have responsibilities.
Yeah. Well, you caught up and you got your experience, and I'm sure that's one of the things that I remember. We always, my mom had a travel agent that we used. Not that we traveled a lot, but her family was in Ohio, so we'd be going from Texas to Ohio, and we did drive a few times, but flying was so much easier. And if my dad couldn't go, he always wanted my mom to be safe, and flying was the safer option than going by car. But then she had a travel agent. Then I had one. Actually, she moved here. We had one here, and then it just seemed like I guess it was around like the late 90s. All of a sudden, everyone could just buy tickets online, and that's all I ever was doing at the time. But you went through that obviously, because you said, you around 9/11, things kind of started to really change is when you started to feel it. Is that right?
Yeah, it was not. So yeah, 9/11 happened, which is, was the second, at the time, it was the biggest thing that ever happened to the travel industry. Now, of course, it's COVID. Yeah. But a lot of things changed at that point. But then it was just like, they closed our office in 1998. So, and then within the next 2 years, they completely closed altogether all their offices in the state. And they had 5, I believe.
Okay.
So it was late 90s. Yeah, because the internet exploded. And people used to rely on travel agents for booking their trips because they wanted to talk to an expert. But now they had all of this information online, and they thought that they could be experts in travel and do it all themselves, which it was easy to do, and it's still easy to do. But the problem I see is what happens if something happens and goes wrong. And that's where using a travel agent really can benefit people.
Yeah, because you end up being a problem solver when there are issues.
You don't want to be that, but it does happen.
Well, so do you think that, let's say if we didn't have a quarantine and a virus, like prior to say February, were you feeling like people were coming back to using travel agents? Like, has the circle started to come back around to where people, you feel, are relying more on your services to plan a trip?
Yep, I think it's definitely, so I can say every year that I've had my agency franchise has gotten busier and busier, which is you want that if any business that you have.
Yeah.
But this year was going to be my busiest year to date. I had people, lots of Europe trips this summer, a lot of cruises. So, and it was a lot of extensive, long trips in Europe that a lot of navigating around. So yes, people are going back to agents because they want to make sure it's all handled properly. And there are still some that there's a big box company, I'm not going to say their name, that offers people gift cards to use at their store if they book their travel with them.
Oh, yeah.
That particular place is, I've heard a lot of nightmares recently about what they've done for people waiting on hold for 7 or 8 hours when all of this started happening.
Gosh.
And the thing that I can't stress enough is if you book with a travel agent, whether it's me or someone else, they're going to be there and they're going to be the people waiting on hold so that you can get back to your life. And at that point, it was working from home, teaching your children from home, and they were having to sit on hold for hours at a time. So it's very important, I think, now to come back to travel agents for expert advice. Because if we haven't been there, we have contacts that have been there to the destination, and we can make sure that the trip is perfect.
Yeah. So I think that, I think we've been kind of faced recently in the past few months with the realization that locally owned businesses, things that are nearby and very accessible, where you don't have to wait in line or wait on hold, just there's so much appeal to that. And so I can appreciate what you're talking about, because I remember when our travel agent had, for whatever reason, yes, I was in college, I wanted to go to Mexico by myself. I think it was not a vacation. It was just like maybe like an interim where I was working and I just needed to get away. And she found me this great trip to Mazatlan. And so I would never go there normally by myself, but it was an all-inclusive thing. It was a great price. And I got there and somebody was supposed to pick me up at the airport. They didn't show up and my luggage was delayed. So, but the great thing was that we could, either I think I called my mom, and she was able to get in touch with the travel agent, and she was able to kind of rescue me from afar with no cell phone. That was pre-cell phone or anything like that. It was, so I understand where you're coming from, that you can really be, like rescue somebody from a lot
I'll share a story of rescue that I had. I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I had a family of 6 traveling to Europe, and they were literally changing cities and or countries every 2 to 3 days. The first 4 members of the family arrived and their luggage did not.
Okay.
So, and being that they were changing so frequently, it was going to be hard for them, and I didn't want them to miss anything.
Right.
I spent hours on the phone trying to locate their luggage, and let me tell you, it was a nightmare. We tracked it down finally, but if it would have been them booking their trip on their own and having to spend all that time, they would have wasted their entire vacation and thousands of dollars on phones looking for luggage.
Yeah. They would
little things like that.
Yeah. So how long did it take? Which country did you catch them in? Catch up to?
I think if I remember correctly, we finally caught it in Spain, but it was, and then the hard part was when they checked into the airport, they didn't put the right bag tags on. So you should have a barcode. And this is what I tell people now. Make sure you have a barcode, especially going to Europe, on your luggage, and it matches your ticket baggage claim. They didn't have that on their bags because someone messed up and didn't put them on there.
Oh my God.
So that made it more difficult to track down.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that could have been a real nightmare. And
luckily I had talked them into purchasing travel protection so that they could buy clothes and get reimbursed for all of their clothing, toothbrush, shampoo and all of that.
Mhm.
Because otherwise they would have been out of pocket even more money.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. Thanks for sharing that story, because those things do happen, and you can hear about it from other people. You sure don't want to experience it, and you sure don't want to be traveling like, free form travel.
Right.
Because, and especially for things like that, that's where your expertise is like invaluable, is when somebody, a family wants to go on a trip, a multi-country, multi-leg trip, because you've got hotels in every destination. You have your transfers from one place to the other. That can be, if anyone's tried to do that on their own, it's a logistical nightmare. Because,
it can be a nightmare for me.
Yeah.
And I do it all the time.
But you can, I'm sure you have access. Do you have access to, well, you said a lot of times if you don't actually know someone in the destination, then you still may know someone who knows someone, or do you guys have sort of like private groups? Like, I don't know if it's Facebook groups or some kind of like.
So yeah, with cruise liners, being that it is so large and they've been around for 26 years, we have our own private Facebook group nationally, and then they've broken us down into regions, so that's very helpful. Plus, every hotel chain, every resort, every cruise line, every car rental company, they have what they call business development managers. Okay. So they are people that we can contact personally and make sure that things run timely, and if something goes wrong, they can help us fix it. Okay. And all of that. So they're an excellent resource for us directly as well. And they've really helped out in the last few months with everything that's been going on.
So about everything that's been going on, what can you tell us? Like, have you been able to, I mean, I'm sure you've still been working, but have you been gainfully working?
So with travel agents, most of the time we do not make any money until people travel. And we earn commission on whatever it is that we book people through. So yes, I've been working, but unfortunately it's not been working to make money. And there goes my phone. So I've been spending a lot of time, of course, everything's been canceled since the end of March-ish. Yeah. I did have people travel the first couple weeks of March because it was spring break, but since then, yes, it's been just canceling everything, hoping that I can rebook people, because what we're finding out is, and of course, everyone who's had to cancel this year, they are either rebooking or they're hoping to rebook in 2022. But because of that, the availability is not going to be as what it was before. And cruises, for example, the rumor is, nothing official yet, but the rumor is that they are going to limit the number of people on board a ship. Yeah. So if they had 4,000 before, it might be half of that. We don't know exact numbers as of yet. So that's another reason why I try to help people think about rebooking for next year instead of just canceling altogether. Because they might not be able to go next year if you don't book soon enough.
And how have like the cruise companies been to deal with? Are they being very accommodating, or is it?
They're accommodating. Now I laugh because yes, they're very accommodating, but the bad part is that they've had hold times that have been ridiculous, to say the least. I've spent 6 hours on hold once, and that wasn't necessarily a cruise line, it was a tour company. 6 hours waiting on hold, and then you get disconnected, which is why you don't want I don't want any of my clients to do that. That's why booking with me, I'm going to do that for you. It's frustrating for us, but we have an outlet where we can talk to each other and vent about that instead of taking it out on others. But cruise lines are very accommodating about rebooking. The tour companies like Globus Vacations, places where you actually go on a tour with a group of people, they are all been very accommodating. The tricky parts were like Funjet Vacations, United Vacations. Those were more difficult because they included airfare And with them, they purchase like blocks of room from resorts, whether it's Caribbean, Mexico, Europe. And a lot of times it's the resorts and hotels that were lagging on when they were going to completely stop people from traveling there and or give refunds. So they were the hard ones to work with. And when you buy airfare, it's completely non-refundable once you purchase it, usually. So that's.
I know. I have some tickets to Europe that are just out there waiting. I had to cancel my trip, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just hope that they're going to work, when it comes time to be able to travel again. But so the kind of stumbling blocks, I guess, have been the hotels themselves, and maybe to some extent that the airlines, or it's really the hotels.
It's mostly the hotels that have been the problem, especially in Italy. And because Italy put a law out there that they did not have to refund the money back to people because they wanted tourism to come back by the end of the year. So there's a lot of hotels in Italy that have not refunded anyone, despite the fact that we can't travel there.
Wow.
So thankfully, I don't have anyone that was affected by them. But
oh my goodness. Wow. So it's been interesting. It's like a learning experience.
It's been a learning. I mean, I thought 9/11 was a learning experience.
Yeah.
But it's been nothing compared to that. I mean, 9/11 was a breeze now that I look back and.
Yeah, because what changed then? I mean, most of the changes had to do with like the wait times at the airport to go through security.
Yeah, all security. So when 9/11 actually happened, our phones stopped ringing for about a month because it was just no one, and we couldn't travel because they shut down flights too. Yeah. But then it was all the new rules of what you can bring on board the flights, the long lines you should expect at the airports, all of that. I actually went on a cruise with my husband. At that time we were dating that December after 9/11. I'm not going to name the cruise line, but on that particular cruise, they were pushing us to buy alcohol because they said they had lost so much money from 9/11. And I really hope that doesn't happen. Things open up again, but maybe it was just the captain was a bad captain. I don't know, but that was not a good situation.
No, that's that can turn out very badly. But it's kind of funny. It may work once this once things get back in the swing of things, because if one industry has stayed in business and probably done better, it's been the liquor stores.
Exactly. And in Texas, you can order food to go and your margarita with it.
It's just so many changes. And so it'll be interesting to see how things do change, or get back to normal. What is normal going to look like in the travel industry? So
there's actually some updates already. People are traveling. Actually, now you can go to some islands in the Caribbean and destinations in Mexico. What that looks like, for example, my business development manager with Hard Rock Hotels recently went, and you get on the plane. You do have to wear a mask on board. They hand you a paper bag with a snack. Now, some airlines, I know for sure, Delta is also giving you wipes so that you can wipe down your whole entire area. When you get to like Cancun, he arrived in Cancun. Little did he know they were taking his temperature, because they can do that with body scans, I guess.
Okay.
So they took his temperature there, went through customs. They get to their transfer vehicle, and on their way to the hotel, they arrive at the gate to get into the property, and they completely fog the vehicle before it can get into the property. And it's not, don't think of it as like a fogger, but they do sanitize it.
Oh my gosh.
They get to check in, and they take your bags from you. They're all sanitized and wiped down. They give you hand sanitizer there. you once are on property, you do not have to wear a mask. Well, with them, you don't have to. Some resorts are requiring it. All of the staff members are wearing masks. Not all areas are open. For example, the swim up bars are not open because you just can't, there's no way to sanitize waters in the mix. It's just impossible. They do take your temperature when you check in, and you also have to stand. I don't know if you've seen them online. People have to stand on like a mat, and it like sanitizes your shoes. So that is done. That would be nice. I don't know where you get them, but that's just kind of, and then of course there's a lot of tours that aren't happening now. Some of the islands are requiring negative COVID testing before you arrive. So that's been a challenge with some of my honeymooners and an anniversary couple that went to, they were supposed to go to St. Lucia originally. They ended up going to Antigua.
Okay.
But they required a negative COVID test 72 hours before their arrival, which is, they've changed it now to 7 days because it's, I don't know if you've had to go through testing, but it does take 3 to 5 days sometimes to get results back.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. Such a backlog that it's hard to get a result. Wow. Well, that is interesting. That is kind of crazy.
And I think we may have to wear masks for a long time on board flights, but and the thing that I always say, they allow you to bring a 12-ounce hand sanitizer versus the tiny little bottles now.
Okay.
And I always say, bring your own wipes to wipe down your area because that's the only way to guarantee that you know it's going to be clean. And you could be on a plane for 3 to 10 hours to longer if you're going to Australia or Tahiti or something.
Yeah. So other than Mexico, the Caribbean, or like certain islands, are there any other countries that are open to Americans arriving there without having to sit for 2 weeks in quarantine?
Tahiti is opening. Well, they opened yesterday officially. Otherwise, it's it right now. Nothing in Europe is letting us come. Although there are flights going into like Ireland, for example, and you are supposed to 14-day quarantine, but people are not doing that. So they might stop letting anyone come. It's kind of changing all of the time, but right now, because we have so many hotspots like Texas and Florida and Arizona, they're not letting us into Europe yet. And Australia has not decided when they're going to let people in either, unfortunately.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that really does change things for you because real estate's the same way. I don't get paid unless people buy a house and go to
it closes.
So, what are you able to do? I mean, at this point, are you just kind of just free, like winging it for the moment, or do you have an alternative for streams of income?
For me, I do a couple of other things. I am a virtual administrative assistant, so I do help some people with administrative work. On the back side that people don't know. And I do sell Arbonne, which is a multi-level marketing company. But for me, I've been learning as much as I can, taking every cruise line and every tourism board has their own like classes that you can take. So I've been doing that. I've been trying to get people to experience vacations virtually. So I've been holding a lot of virtual vacation events and Down Under Answers, which is a company that does specifically like Australia, New Zealand. They do Asia as well under another umbrella. They've been holding a lot of virtual vacation opportunities as well that I've been promoting just because people are missing travel, and it's a way for them to kind of experience without having to go on a plane.
Right. Yeah.
I know that some people are very scared too, but other people, I have one client who she had Scotland booked for June, got canceled. We rebooked it for August. canceled. She still wanted to go somewhere, so she's going to Cancun August 1st.
Yeah.
She's going somewhere no matter what.
I understand the feeling. I actually have some friends who are clients who are flight attendants. It's a couple. They're both flight attendants, and they've been going crazy because they're used to traveling every single week. But they did go to Cancun. I haven't talked to them, but yeah, I mean, Cancun is probably doing very well right now, considering since they seem to be letting people travel there.
Yeah, and the thing that if you are thinking of traveling, the biggest thing that I can say is, you know, it is a scary time, and I'm not going to. Everyone has their own fears and beliefs about COVID. I don't want to talk about that, but if someone wants to travel, you just need to make sure that you know the up-to-date rules and regulations of the flights, what happens when I get to the airport, and all of that information. And just know that if you do go to Mexico and the Caribbean, the people working there are extremely grateful to see faces again and to have guests at their property. You may not see it because they have a mask on, but they rely so much on tourism, and give them a couple extra dollars is what I always say, because a dollar for them means a lot more than it does to us in the States. So they're thankful to see faces.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point, because I think, you know, you don't realize how much good you can do by just a little bit of generosity, especially like you just described. So you were talking about virtual travel. You have a virtual event coming up tonight. Is that a similar type of thing, or would you like to talk about what you're doing tonight?
Sure. I have one tonight with Viking Cruises. So Viking River Cruises is what they're known for in Europe. They also have Viking Ocean. It's not as popular, but the biggest news that they have is that they're going to be offering sailings in the U.S. starting in 2022 on the Mississippi and Great Lakes.
Oh, cool.
So it's a brand new ship that's being built, and it'll be a nice option for those that want to stay closer to home in the near future. I know a lot of people aren't going to necessarily want to travel to Europe in the next few years. It's hard to say. So yes, I have at 6 p.m. tonight, we have that. And what happens is one of the representatives from Viking will be on the webinar, and she's going to be talking mostly. I'm just going to be there in case anyone has questions. So I have that one this evening at 6 o'clock. I actually have another one on Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock with Charisma Resorts, which is a resort company in Mexico and the Caribbean. They offer like Nickelodeon resorts, Azul, El Dorado, Generations. They're all inclusive properties.
Oh my goodness, that sounds fun. I didn't know there were that kind of, you said El Dorado, like the road to El Dorado?
No, it's just, I don't know why they picked that name. They have, it's El Dorado. They have El Dorado Seasides, El Dorado Maroma Resorts, and El Dorado Casitas Resorts. They actually were the first company outside of like Tahiti and the Maldives to have over-the-water bungalow options. So they have over-the-water bungalows in the Riviera Maya.
Oh, okay. Those are those beautiful photographs we always see of the blue water in Tahiti, and probably also in Mexico too, because the water off of the Riviera Maya is just...
It's amazing, yes.
Well, so I put a little post in the comments about tonight you're having the Viking Cruise online event. What is a good way to keep up to date about the virtual events that you have available? Is it better to like sign up for your email list, or just follow you on Facebook, or what's the best?
I think right now, I mean, you can definitely sign up for my email list, because there is information that we generate at least once a week. You would get an email depending on which one. My email, or my website, I should say, is destinationsbyjill.com. But Facebook is where I post all of my events. And it's also where I've been doing a video every Thursday. I do a travel tip Thursday. So I've been posting something every week with anything that new comes about. So Facebook is a great way to definitely keep more in touch with me because I'm there visually every week.
Okay. So is that your personal Facebook?
It's my Facebook business page.
Okay.
It's facebook.com/cruise planners Jill Franks is where you would need to find that.
Okay.
It's very long, but
yeah, well, it's still easier than XY43B, which is kind of what they assign you. Cruise planner Jill Franks. Okay, I'll put the live link in the comments once we're done. Just so people can, when I put Franks.
That happens a lot. Yes, it's Franks, and it's Cruise Planners with an S is the other.
Okay, all right. I'll get the correct information, and I will publish it as soon as we get done, just so everyone can kind of keep up with you. And then, who knows, perhaps go on an interesting virtual trip somewhere, which would be great because I know I think the Louvre just opened last week, but since we can't go to France, we can't go see that. So it's, things like that, like the museums are available for free, but, there's a whole experience anywhere you go it's not just about a museum. And
I've also been posting a lot, especially the last few days, about like movies or series you can watch that travel. For example, Zac Efron has a new series on Netflix that really talks about ecotourism, so that's a good one to look at. Gordon Ramsay has Uncharted, which is another you're not squeamish because he does eat some weird things. He goes to different countries, and it's more about food for them and how the locals eat. And some of it may not appeal to us, but it's what local people live on.
Yeah, well, like Anthony Bourdain, he was so good at that.
Yeah,
and bringing in the culture as well. So I'm glad that there are others that are springing up in his place, and I'll definitely have to check those out. I didn't know about Zac Efron. I don't follow him.
I just happened to see that come out, and it just came out last week, and I watched the whole series last weekend, actually. And what I really liked about it was because it was so tourism based, which I think is a lot of people might be interested in ecotourism and how we can save the planet. So it's a really good series to watch if you're interested in that.
Yeah, well, it's an important topic too. Meanwhile, we're generating so much
welfare here.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jill. I mean, it's a real pleasure to get a chance to talk to you. I admire what you do with the networking group. And for anyone who is a woman in Georgetown, a business owner, this is just a kind of a safe place that Jill's put together for us to support each other through this difficult time, but also just normal times, and just be good supports to each other, because that's something that we can all do no matter, no matter what. We can support our local businesses. So like I said, I will go ahead and post everything, links to everything in the comments once I get this posted live, or like permanently. And we'll just take it from there. Hopefully you'll have a lot more people watching you tonight. I see that Kimberly Kinzer-Boykin has said she's going to be there.
Yay. She's part of our group. So yes.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and join us next time. We'll next Thursday, we should have another small business owner on here, and we can educate you on whatever they have to offer. All right. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Okay.